My whole thing with Frank Dux started like this. I get a call from, and Alan Goldberg, it's personal for him. He was insulted by Dux because Dux had a guy.
Hey guys, so about a year or so back, Ramsey Dewey had made a video titled, "So This Just Happened," relating to the Facebook feud between Don the Dragon Wilson and Frank Dux. Really popular video, got several 100,000 views. It was a great piece. I'm sure many of you seen it. And here's a quick recap, by the way, on what Ramsey said on it.
Don Wilson, a real legitimate kickboxing champion, posts on Facebook. He cuts and pastes on his Facebook page a list of the alleged accomplishments of Frank Dux. And it's quite a long list. All the Kumites that he won.
What do you mean?
He made him say Mate.
All the world records that he broke. The bulletproof glass that he shattered with the palm of his hand, allegedly. And so on. No commentary on this post, just here is a list of the things that Frank Dux has claimed to have accomplished over the years.
All right, Frankie.
Anyway, I'm currently in the process of going through a bunch of my unreleased interview footage. I'm sitting on so much good stuff. So many videos, so little time. And I found this gem of a topic here. This is Don the Dragon Wilson basically explaining why he made that Facebook post and, of course, providing some thoughts and commentary on Frank Dux and Jean-Claude Van Damme. If you guys like this kind of content, by the way, please help support the channel. Hit that like button. Comment on the video. YouTube loves engagement. Subscribe to the channel if you're not yet subscribed, because really got to get these views up, because spending all this time trying to catch up and edit videos and all that, it's when the videos aren't getting the views, it's not that motivating, to be honest. It's almost like going to the gym and not getting any results. It's just not motivating. So anyway, speaking of the gym, man, click the link. Check out the only supplements I use and recommend for good reason. And of course, unless you got the diet and training down, the supplements aren't really going to do much unless you're talking about something like a green supplement for health, which that I recommend for everybody. But check the link out. I know a lot of people are pushing athletic greens. This product from First Form, very similar. It's actually a little bit cheaper, but in general, you do get what you pay for. So you don't want one of those cheap green products. You want to get either this greens formula from First Form, or, you know, maybe even pay a little bit more for the athletic train product, for example. But with all that said, if you want to help support the channel, of course, engage with it, click the like button, comment on it. Extra support, check out the Patreon. I got exclusive content and other perks on there for you guys. All that's linked below.
My whole thing with Frank Dux started like this. I get a call from, and Alan Goldberg, it's personal for him. He was insulted by Dux because Dux had a guy, a wife, a woman in Vegas, and I was there, claimed that Alan Goldberg molested her, like grabbed her boobs or something at a party. At a party, right.
That's a lie.
And I'm there, and I'm looking at her husband. Her husband, not only does he not look mad at Alan, because Alan's standing right there, he looks like he's embarrassed that his wife is saying all this. Mm-hmm. I could see the guy's face. I mean, he was looking. What if your wife got grabbed by a guy? You know what? You'd walk up to the guy.
Oh yeah.
And I'd say, listen, buddy, my wife told me you grabbed her inappropriately. You better never even think about that again. You're lucky I don't kick your ass right now. In other words, her husband would have said something. He wasn't. She was doing it all. She was calling him every name and all this, and it embarrassed Alan. You know, for him, it's kind of a vendetta to get back at him, I think. But for me, when I said the first negative thing about him, which I didn't really, here's what I did.
The Facebook post.
Alan was going to do, maybe it was your show. He was going to do a thing where I'm on it with him. And I promised him I'd do it, and I forgot all about it. So I thought, you know what? I kind of screwed Alan. I didn't do this thing he wanted me to do. I'm going to go on Frank Dux's website and just see what it is he's doing or saying. So I go on his website, and all these accolades I didn't know he was saying he knocked out 50 people in a row. No, for all in the first round or whatever. I saw these claims, and I said, you know what? I've got like 30,000 people on my Facebook page, you know, followers and friends. I said, I'm just going to post this on my page and not say anything, and see what they think about what he's saying.
Sure.
Because they're unbelievable. And not just any fighter, but every knowledgeable martial artist looks at that, and it's just such a bunch of lies. So I put it on there, and sure enough, thousands respond to it.
Man, Frank Dux, what can you say about that guy that hasn't been said already?
He gets mad. He's mad. Now remember, all I've done is just post what he said. I just cut and pasted it. Because first of all, he's very litigious. I think I warned you about that, that if you say something specific, he can go after you. He'll file a lawsuit. But how can you sue me for posting what you posted? I just cut and pasted it. I didn't say it was true.
You're hoping to spread the, his record. You hoping?
Right. That's the claims he made.
Yeah.
So then he writes back and he says, I can verify everything, and I show all my students my videotapes of the fights and all. But what ended up happening is I posted it, so everybody came back with, now that people were cornering him, show us some of the fight action. So what he did was he did an interview with somebody recently, and he said, I may have sent it to you. He said, I can't show anybody the fight action because somebody broke into my school and stole it all. Mm-hmm. So all his tapes now have been stolen. So he can't show us now, which is a smarter way to say it anyway. Because to say I got them, the videotapes of my 300 wins, and I only show it to my students when they test under me. That's what he says. So he says, I'll give you a list of the names of my students. You just call them and they'll tell you.
Speaking of calling people, that is one thing that I do quite a bit to help this show go, right? I gotta talk to all these people, set up these interviews, or we're talking about Frank Dux, so many people involved. Or, I talked to Sky Benson, for example, one of the old school Dux-Ryu guys. And you got to watch the video, by the way, where he describes some of these Kumite fights, because he did watch these videotapes back in the day. But don't make the same mistake I did. So when I'm calling all these people, doing all this stuff, I was spending too much on my wireless bill. You guys need to switch over to Mint Mobile and click the link. I could save you so much money, man. They literally have the nation's largest 5G network. Great service. I'm pretty sure you are guaranteed to save money. They got plans as little as $15 a month. Let's be honest. You are spending way more than $15 a month. I know you are, and I know I was. But anyway, click the link. Check them out. It literally take you 15 minutes to switch over. And that's going to be a bill you're going to have anyway, just like your electric bill, your water bill, your mobile phone bill. Save money. Like, why wouldn't you? So anyway, I only bring this stuff up because I know it's a benefit to you.
It is the truth.
But let's see what Frank Dux says about the whole Sky Benson thing.
Like, I showed Sky Benson, I think he described to you on the show, were more representative, like you saw in the movie
Lionheart.
Mm-hmm. Okay? That's kind of strong representative of some of the Kumites I fought. But at the same time, I fought tournament style.
So he's not going to show you, he wants to get the legitimacy that a videotape would do without giving you the videotape, letting you see the videotape. There's only one reason to have videotape records of a secret tournament anyway. Who's going to let you set up the video cameras? There wasn't even video cameras around. This was in the 70s, I think.
Well, so they filmed. They
75 to 80.
Everything.
Isn't like I think he claims it. They do it every 5 years. Mm-hmm. I think
different locations
champion
every 5 years.
He claims, but he didn't fight like 5 times in a row. He fights at one tournament, 300 people.
Kumites are run in a variety of ways. A good example of that is Masayama. He had 100-man Kumite. He fought 200 men over a 2-day period.
That's great.
Nobody has a problem with that. Nobody has an issue with that. Somehow I have 300 over my career span, which is dwarfed by Oyama. People find a problem with it, and that's because they're dealing out of ignorance.
He would have been 19 years old at the time.
Listen, Bruce Lee, when he was, I think, 14 or 15 maybe, Bruce Lee heard how fast he was and had to meet him.
Yeah.
Well, such question has been raised. In fact, it is being discussed.
Yeah, well, because he heard he's the only guy faster than me. I mean, he doesn't say, I'm a pretty fast guy. He says, I'm faster than Bruce Lee. And I'm not fast as an adult. When I was a child, I was faster than Bruce Lee, and he heard about me and looked me up.
All right, Frankie.
Yeah.
It's it boggles the mind that we even discuss, because maybe he's got a mental illness. Maybe I don't know. Because he benefits from it financially, I doubt it. I feel it's a con. It's a con job, and he's successful at it. And whenever he does something, he always has a reason that fits his time or his storyline. Like he's not teaching in America anymore because he's been out. Everybody knows about him. He teaches in Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
He's got, I believe, some schools there or something. I mean, because if a Duke school was to open up in Woodland Hills, where I live, every black belt would go in there to see what the heck is he teaching and find out what is he saying. In other words, I don't know. Maybe there would be some self-policing going on.
So Frank Dux, as far as I know, wants to have the martial arts world regulated. Like, he doesn't like the fact that it's not regulated, which is interesting. Yeah, okay, that's your reaction. That's
bold
funny.
bold of him to assume they would come down in his favor if they did.
I'm not personal about it all. I don't really know Frank Dux. I just know when you say, yes, the Bloodsport thing was good, but it's a great movie and story, and if he did the choreography, it would all work.
It's true. He did the choreography for that film.
He claimed it was all real stuff too. Like, that's the real fighting. Which, come on, man, it's ridiculous. That part wasn't real.
Well, so that's the funny thing about Dukes. So the Dux-Ryu system actually does use a lot of those kicks, and apparently that's why they wanted Van Damme, because they seen him in No Retreat, No Surrender. Why they wanted him to play Frank Dux, because they're like, hey, this is like your style, Frank. You do a lot of kicks. And he does say that he literally did those kicks in the tournament, Yeah,
he says that. Yeah,
but those kicks are part of the Dux-Ryu system, though. So if you see Francisco and his students train,
but that's still
that kind of stuff.
That's still Frank's system, because he invented it.
Yeah,
and he told Van Damme, "Hey, try this if you can do this." Because when I won the tournament, I used this one in the semifinals, and I beat the guy. I did a double spin kick. Look. I fought for 28 years. I watched Bloodsport. I didn't see anything that I would use in any fight. I mean, it's just a movie. I didn't look at it as a training tape. but he says, like, he doesn't just say I choreographed it. He choreographed the real moves that really knocked people out in this tournament that never happened. That you and I know never happened. Those guys never fought. Nobody used that technique to win anything. There were no judges to decide.
Understand, you can't compare apples to oranges, okay? This is not MMA.
Mm-hmm.
This is not boxing, okay? This is not tennis.
Secret judges, secret event, secret doc. You know what he said? And one thing he said, all the prize money that he's ever won went to pay for the hospital bills of his opponents.
It's quite generous.
Right. But it's also insanity. I mean, he's so deadly, though, that these guys are all in the hospital and he has to pay for their bills because he beat them all. I think he's thinking that must be, fighters, if they're nice, they're going to pay for the other guy. This is all, it's like like I said, I'm not a concert pianist. You're not a concert pianist. We can listen to all we want, concert pianists. We can hit keyboards all. We are not concert pianists. He is not a fighter. He's not not a guy who's overcome this and had strategy for that. He might have fought in a few tournaments, because there were tournaments, but he never won any of those. Where did he get all the fighting experience to win this event in the first place? Any fighting experience? Did he win the Battle of Atlanta? Because that was around. Did he win the U.S. Open?
This is not tennis.
That was around. I'm saying in America. Did he go to Diamond Nationals in Texas. Did he fight any point tournaments? No. Okay, did he fight any kickboxing matches? Any amateur kickboxing? Win any titles? No. Did he fight in any professional kickboxing matches? No. Did he? Where did he get all the great fight knowledge to be this great fighter that knocked out all these people?
He says Senzo Tanaka is his shidoshi.
That's a good point. That's a good question. That's the great mystery.
The mystery is why we would even think that needs to be asked.
What's the difference if Bruce Springsteen is a shidoshi?
Look, there's been a lot of movies in America, fight movies and boxing movies and things. Nobody goes around year after year after year saying they're real. Like nobody says Lethal Weapon's the real story of my time as a police officer. And I'm going around and I'm training all these SEAL teams on my police work and the crash in LA and Rampart Division. I'm training all these special forces people based on my police work of the story Lethal Weapon. You saw the movie.
Here's what's interesting. So I think having it like seem like how it was a blood sport based on a true story, it adds to the it probably added the popularity. It's like, really, I got to see this. What's this whole thing about? But the irony is,
I would almost
so much attention to it and made people question it.
Look, I would almost buy that, but I don't believe that's key to the success.
I think
Because
that's one of many keys to its success.
It wasn't just martial artists going; it was movie fans, fight fans, people who like the movies. I think people watch my movies in the beginning. Blood Fist. They didn't even know I was a black belt. Chuck Norris said this. He's had many people come and say, "Hey, do you really know that martial arts?" Not only do they not know he's a point fighter and one of the best, if not the best point fighter of his day in the 60s, but a great point fighter, they don't even know if he's a black belt. People don't even know if you get stunt double and you fake it. And you're like Jason Statham looks good in the movies. He's never won a kickboxing title or point fighting title and he doesn't need it. He looks great. That all that stuff is unnecessary anyway. And Van Damme shouldn't have used any of that. Frank Dux shouldn't have used any of that. He should have just wrote a story in a script and said, I made this up. This is just a story in a script. It still would have been successful, is what I'm saying. He didn't need the lies to go with it. Van Damme looked great in the movie, which is the important thing. Because look, we don't know if Clint Eastwood can shoot a gun, do we?
Yeah, it doesn't matter at the end of the day.
Broadside of a barn. But when he puts on that dirty, hairy outfit and he gets that big old 357 Magnum, he fakes it great. And that's what it's about. It's about faking.
So, for example, when Blood Fist came out, they must have Roger Corman must have marketed you as like the kickboxing champion,
starring Don the Dragon Wilson, highest rated champion in kickboxing history.
Because
he did.
Of course, it was a smart move because it does.
The reason
make
is
people more curious,
Roger thought Van Damme was a kickboxing champion, middleweight champion, kickboxer, Jean-Claude Van Damme. So Roger thought he needed a kickboxing champion for it to be successful.
Yeah, compete against Bloodsport with Blood Fist, sure.
Yes, because Van Damme did it.
I did a pretty detailed video on trying to find out and get more context and information about Van Damme's fight history. Two of my guests on that video were Bay Logan and also Jeff Langton. Anyway, check that video out. It was a really great piece.
Like I said, I can credit Van Damme and Dux for the start of my movie career. So they've been nothing but good in the movie business. And had neither one of them lied, if Van Damme had never given the impression that he was a champion kickboxer, and Dux never gave the impression that he was this Kumite champion for 5 years, I would never, there's nothing I could say. I know nothing good or bad about either of them, really. I mean, I know some stuff about Van Damme because, the drugs and there's negative things, and how he abused for stunt guys and all. And then I know a few negative things about Dux, how he took credit for things that he didn't do. He said he was a choreographer of something that it was Stephen Lambert was a choreographer.
I was on there the whole show, and a month before the show started, so that's 4.5 months.
Sure.
Relatively, and I never saw him once. And being the fight coordinator, I would know. So I don't know where people get saying that he was the fight coordinator or he was on the show. Never once. Not 1 hour, not one day.
Oh, the quest, sure.
So I know they've done some negative things, but nothing that I'm really firsthand knowledge, just something I heard. But at this point, Dux has said so much. He doesn't even know and Van Damme didn't either, by the way. Van Damme one time said this. He said, people talk about me fighting Don Wilson. He goes, Don Wilson wouldn't have a chance against me. He goes, I work out with people like Dennis Alexio. Van Damme said that in an interview. Now, unknown to Van Damme is I beat Dennis Alexio.
Whoa, take it easy.
Yeah. And so Van Damme thinks there's no way I can compete with him because he trains with people like Dennis Alexio. And now that just shows me he doesn't know anything about my background. Now, what's his name? Duke says, where is the PKA, Don Wilson, to verify your record? Okay, the PKA, I never won a world title with them. He thinks, I guess, the PKA should be keeping records of me. The PKA still exists, I believe. I don't think they're a sanctioning body, but the letters of the alphabet still, somebody uses them. Joe Corley uses them for something. I don't know what, but I never fought for their title. I'm the WKA champion, but he doesn't even know what title he doesn't know the difference between these titles. And he doesn't look, there's so many letters of the alphabet, like there's KICK, Karate International Council of Kickboxing. The president of that is a guy named Frank Babcock. Then there's ISKA, International Sport Karate Association. And the guy running that is the guy named Corey Schaefer and Mike Sawyer. I know all the presidents of the associations and that I fought for and won. They're titled the weight divisions, my opponents, the auditoriums they happened in, the venues and things. They were televised on network TV. But Van Damme and Dukes don't even respect the truth enough to research it before they say it. I fought on NBC against Dennis Alexio, NBC Sports World. Van Damme could have watched he could have asked Alexio, what do you think about Don Wilson? Well, Alexio probably wouldn't come out and say, well, he beat me. He probably wouldn't say that. But he didn't even know it, though. What I'm saying is he doesn't even know. Dukes didn't even know I'm not claiming I'm a PKA champion. I fought for the PKA. I was the #1 contender. But I ended up winning the WKA title because I wanted to fight in Japan. The WKA had fights in Japan. PKA did not. And I'm Japanese. And so the PKA also said I had to sign a contract with a management contract if I fought for their title, which I did not want to do.
Real quick, Don, here's a question. Like, what would be, and Goldberg's not here, so I can't ask him, unfortunately. I could ask him later, but what would ultimately you like to happen? So let's, we getting all this stuff out on why the Frank Dux stories can't be true, for example, with proof and different just logic. What is the ultimate goal? Do you want him to just say, all right, I made it up, I didn't fight in the Kumite? Is that the ultimate goal here?
If that was going to be my ultimate goal, I'm going to be a very disappointed person.
What do you?
We've already accomplished. When you announce it openly and people hear about it, people learn about it, and as it becomes more known, that's the ultimate goal. That's all we need. That we can't.
Oh, so you don't even want Frank Dux to come out?
He's going to continue to lie. He's going to continue to lie. He's going to continue to run his schools in Mexico until they kick him out. Or he's going to do what he's going to do. But we have done, I believe, what we are obligated to do based on our positions. I have a position as kind of a platform a little bit. People know I've been a martial artist. I'm knowledgeable, especially in the fight, coming to the fight game. You have a platform. You speak to people. They're martial artists. They're hardcore martial artists. They're fans. You speak to them, and you've told the truth as you know it, and I've told the truth as I know it. And they're going to make their own minds up. We can't brainwash them, open their heads up, just pour the truth in there. No, we present the truth so that they can't say, well, you know what, this Frank Dux has opened up a school next to me. Should I go join? Or they at least will go with an open mind to say, something doesn't look right here, or I'm not going to sign a year's worth of lessons up front. Or getting the truth out is what I believe at this point in my life. Now I'm 67. I've been in the martial arts since 73, I guess, and benefited from it. You know, it's my hobby. I made a ton of money as a kickboxer. Had a good time as an actor. And this is me giving back. What I can do is tell the people the truth about this guy.
It's a proving ground. That's what it was really designed for. It's fueled by illegal gambling. So yeah, nobody's really trying to keep records of who's there. Nobody's taking pictures because nobody wants to be what? ID taking part in an illegal activity, especially if they may have a job that's a public service job. They could be fired and terminated for that.
Yeah, it's secret, but we make movies about it, and all he does is talk about it. And he had videos of all of them. Now they're all gone. You can just ask his students. You know what? If you said, Don, let's just say you'd never heard of me. You say, Don, I'm an announcer. I know nothing about your record. I mean, how can I find? What information can you give me about your fight record? And I would just say, just Google mine. Just go online and go Don the Dragon Wilson kickboxing fights, and there's going to be a lot of stuff there.
Yeah, you'll find videos.
I looked at it myself, and I said 99.9% of it's all true. I don't see anybody posting the fake record for me, or some people. Not everybody says good things about the movies. Some people say, "Oh, he makes the cheapest movies. I hated all his movies." There are people that, not everything you're going to see is going to be positive, especially Van Damme fans, because they go, "Well, you only say that because you're jealous of his movie career."
That's something like I always wondered back in the day, and I know a lot of you guys did too. There always seemed to be a feud of sorts between Don Wilson and Van Damme, right? Anyway, in the next video, we're going to talk all about that and find out once and for all. Was Don the Dragon Wilson... it's Mint Mobile, guys. Oh, I gotta take this and save money while doing so.